In 3 days, I'm flying to the Canary Islands for a short winter break. So I thought, what better occasion to sew myself a matching set from scratch. The plan is to sew a vest with buttons in the front and pockets, quite long, and a mini skirt that will peek out a little bit from beneath the vest. For the skirt, I will use a basic pattern that I drafted myself according to my measurements. So here we have the back piece and the front piece. And for the vest, I will use a Burda pattern from the 1996. It's number 1 and the pattern is 114. It's this like jacket, but I'm going to do some minor adjustments so it suits the style I want to make. As my main fabric, I chose this light pink linen that actually was a curtain. I thrifted it a while ago and I think it will be just perfect for this set, as linen fabric looks just lovely on more structured pieces. And for my lining, I will use this white cotton fabric that I also found in the thrift store. So yeah, let's do this.
So to be honest with you, I started this project yesterday evening. I prepared the patterns for the vest. I already had the pattern for the skirt, so then I cut out all the pieces from the linen fabric and the white cotton for the lining. I also started sewing the skirt. I sewed the darts at the front and back of the skirt, then sewed one side of the skirt, ironed everything, and started sewing in the invisible zipper. And here I don't know why, but I had such a hard time with the zipper. Maybe because it's on a rounded edge of the skirt, or maybe because I was just so exhausted. Yesterday morning I had to get up at 3:30 in the morning to go to work, and when I got back at noon, I was completely exhausted. Anyway, it took me about 2 hours to sew in the zipper. Seriously, I ripped it out about 5 times on each side and then sewed it back. Then, when I was about to sew the lining, I saw that I had sewn the wrong side of the skirt into the lining, so I gave up that evening, and today I started off by fixing that mistake. So I ripped out one side and sewed the other one from the lining. Then I joined the skirt to the lining at the waist and sewed the lining to the hidden zipper allowances. Finally, I understitched the lining with the seam allowances for a nicer finish.
I have 3 days till I have to leave for my holiday. I'm pretty optimistic at this point. I am rested and I have almost finished the skirt, so that's good news. All I have to do with the skirt is to hem it. I think I will do it by hand, just by folding in the fabric inside and stitching it to the lining so it doesn't show. And yeah, that is the plan. I will leave the skirt for now. I only have to do the vest. I think the tricky part with the vest will be inserting the pockets, but I have already done pockets like this, however, without the real pocket inside. So here we go.
I started by joining the front pieces together, so the side front pieces to the center front pieces, and then joined the back pieces together by sewing the side back to the center back. I made notches on the rounded edges and sewed the shoulder seams together. I repeated this for the lining pieces as well and tried it on right away, see how the pattern fits.
Trying this lining on made me realize that I'm not really happy about the fit of the vest. I picked a size 36, that was the smallest, and I feel like it is still quite large. So I have two options, or I will take in just the sides when I come to the part where I should assemble them together with the shell fabric, or I can stitch all the seams again, taking in the amount that is too wide and spread it evenly through all the seams that I have. So I am going to do that. I have to stitch everything once again. So basically I have to find my waist, and it is on the smallest part, like here. So I have 22 centimeters, 44 in total. I have to still deduct the 1 centimeter allowance for both edges. So I'm left with 42 centimeters for the waist, and I would like to have 35. So I have to take in 7 centimeters, and I have to divide it in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seams. So basically I could take in a centimeter at every seam, and this one left I will spread at the side seams. I will chop this part off about 1.5 centimeters here, all the way from the armpit to the edge of the fabric. Here I will take in the 1 centimeter on both ends. So basically I will sew from top to bottom from the seam line 1 centimeter away, and I will do the same thing for the front. By the way, I don't know if this kind of spreading the take-ins through the seams is a good way to size down your clothing or take in your clothing. Thinking logically, it should work. Just take some more time. Okay, so I have finished taking in all the seams, and now I'm pressing all the seams open. And after that I can start assembling the pockets to the front. I will be also ironing on this interfacing. It's actually the first time I'm going to do that. I have never worked with interfacing before. It's like this gray sheer fabric that has glue on one end, so it sticks to your fabric. In theory, you're supposed to put it in places where the fabric needs some support, for example in the collar or where you want the buttons to go. Basically it prevents the fabric to stretch over time, so the piece lives longer. Okay, I want to test it out right now because I'm quite interested to see how it turns out. You're not supposed to move the iron when you do it, you just press and release. Crazy. I think it's done. So cool. So basically you have one side that is smoother and one that has these glued stripes. And you should put the stripes down, the glue part down, of course. And I'm just putting it 1 centimeter from the edge and press. the whole lining is done, prepared, pressed, and look at this. Can you see it? By the way, I mean the crossing of my stitches. And I did it on both sides. I don't know, maybe it is a little bit weird, but it makes me so happy to see clean lines. Now on to the pockets. I have attached the interfacing to the wrong side of my front piece, just the piece where the pocket is supposed to go. And now I am going to mark all the lines of the pockets. This project starts to stress me out. I have to go out at about 5, and now we have 3 o'clock. I hope to finish the pockets before I go. I'm quite overwhelmed at this point, but I think doing the pockets will calm me down, because then we have like 3 or 4 more hours of sewing estimated.
To make the sewing of the pockets easier for myself, I marked the lines with chalk and then basted them as well, so that they would be also visible on the wrong side of the material. I pinned the pieces of the pocket flaps to the vest and sewed them on the wrong side. I sewed 2 straight stitches. Then I trimmed the pockets to fit the size of my vest and cut out the opening for the pocket. I turned the flaps inside out and ironed them so that the middle edges were evenly aligned. I sewed the edges and basically they were almost done at this point. Then I just sewed the pocket bags on. Apologies, I didn't record that, but I was already in such a hurry to leave. So then finally it was time to join the front and lining together. I pinned them together at the neckline and all the way down of the front pieces. I sewed and made notches on the rounded edges and trimmed the corners. Then I understitched the lining and ironed all the seams. I repeated the process for the armholes, sewed the outer pieces together to the lining, cut the seam allowances and understitched. I gently pulled the fronts through the shoulder holes and turned the vest right side out. I ironed everything and then sewed the sides together. So I first joined the corners and then pinned the outer layers together and the lining together. On one side of the lining, I left a hole so I could finish the vest. I pulled the edges through the hole left in the lining and sewed them together. I was pulling the material as I went, and then I understitched the seams. And after pulling the material back to the right side, I ironed everything once again. Then all I had to do was sew on the buttons, make the buttonholes, pressed the hem allowance of the skirt and hand sewed it to the lining. Then I gave my finished garments a final press and that was it.
Hi, it's the 3rd day. So tomorrow morning I have my flight. Today was the last day I could work on my matching set. It took me a whole 3 days to complete this set because I started on Sunday evening, cutting all the pieces out, and I started sewing the skirt. And on Monday, Tuesday, I worked on the vest and left all the handwork for today. The set is ready. I'm not going to show you right now. You will see it at the end of the video. I think it looks absolutely amazing. I am very happy that I accomplished it before my vacation, but two things could be improved. One, the vest should be wider at the bust and hip area. My mistake was that when reducing the pattern to fit my waist measurements, I reduced all the seams from top to bottom, when in reality I should have also calculated the measurements for the bust and hips and adjust them accordingly on the pattern. The second thing is the lining that should be smaller from the shell fabric, because when understitching it to the inside of the fabric, we are automatically pulling on the shell fabric and tucking the lining inside. There's too much material on the wrong side of the vest, which causes the garment to not fit very well. There are folds on the left side which are visible as well at the front of the vest. So logically thinking, it is a very smart thing to do, to take in about 2 millimeters at the seam allowance. So yeah, actually I knew about these things. I really don't know why I didn't do it from the beginning. Maybe because I was rushing so much. I hope any professional seamstresses aren't watching this, because these mistakes are quite embarrassing, but that's what discovering sewing by yourself is all about. You constantly learn from your mistakes so you don't do them in the future, hopefully. So with videos like this, I'd like to show you what the process is really like for someone who is self-taught. For example, how many things you have to take into account while making clothing that fits you, that fit your measurements, that even though the final piece is not super perfect, you could probably buy it somewhere for a small amount of money. At the end, they're made completely by yourself, which gives you this incredible sense of satisfaction. And during this process, with each new project you make, your skills will develop incredibly. So yeah, I think it's amazing. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!